Yeah, always problem
I
solving.
appreciate that. It's 7:01, I'm gonna call to order.
All rise for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Noting all are present. To begin, I need a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes of February 14th, 2022, Facilities Committee meeting minutes of February 28th, 2022, Personnel Committee meeting minutes of February 28th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Flores?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, I need a motion to approve the regular board executive session meeting minutes of February 14th, 2022, and the Personnel Committee executive session meeting minutes of February 28th, 2022, and you should have the executive minutes in front of you, if you haven't looked at those.
Second.
Is that Ashley? I'm sorry. Is that Ashley?
Yeah.
And then. Okay, Belt?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And if everybody would turn those to me, or then to Marla, so that we can take those. Thank you.
Got it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and I need a motion to approve the March 2022 expenses and the additional bills as presented. So moved.
Second.
Okay, Missouri?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, and Mr. Peters.
All right. Balance in the First Community Bank and Trust account at month end was $437,272.65. Outstanding checks totaled $87,083.56. February payroll expense that carried over month end, $11,539 on the dot. And leaving the adjusted bank balance at $338,650.09. Lunch program balance, $1474.69. Impress fund, $5,000. Given the total at $345,124.78. The investment balances totaled $10,783,363.95. Leaving the balance of all funds as of February 28 at $11,128,488.73. February receipts were $1,355,663.41. Expenses, $1,364,179.36. Individual fund balances, education fund, $3,967,211.81. Building fund, $1,774,008.81. Bond and interest, minus $41,864.24. Transportation fund, $2,036,366.14. IMRF, $172,215.32. Working cash, $2,596,627.63. Tort fund, $110,782.78, and life safety, $513,140.48. Interest earned in February was $259.77. The state had a handful of distributions. State aid, $211,938. Lunch program, $26,321.06. Received a maintenance grant for an even $50,000. ESSER 2, $13,805, and state free lunch of $145.80. There were no real estate distributions, and the fund balances are in the packet.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Peters?
Just note the maintenance grant for 50,000, that is not the one that I applied for the bathrooms. 'Cause
Oh.
we can't get that yet, we haven't started. That's actually one I was able to recapture and finalize, and so that was from a few years ago.
Oh, awesome.
So we're able to
You
catch
can
that.
go back that far, huh?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Just did.
Right? All right. I need a motion to approve treasurer's report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Pappas.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Flores. Yes. Belt. Yes. Missouri.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, for public comment, I have the timer, 3 minutes, as we know. I have one email one that I'm gonna read first. Good evening, this is from Adriana Diachenko. She emailed, thank you. She emailed earlier. Good evening, I am unable to attend, but I wanted to ask if there has been communication regarding dances at the junior high, because we have heard so little about anything that happens at the school. Dances afford kids the opportunity to grow and practice social skills prior to high school. This is especially important given the restrictions that were in place the last 2 years. Recently, I was informed that there will be a dance on April 8th from 3 to 5. However, in my experience is that dances are in the evening, 6:30 to 8:30, planned by the PTO with parent assistance, usually using Sign Up Genius. Planning a dance from 3 to 5 is extremely restrictive and isn't a dance, but an after-school activity. This restricts participation because this time is when soccer and cross-country have practice, so you remove 30-plus kids from attending. Parents have no opportunity to chaperone or help. It's the start of spring break, and kids won't be able to dress nice and have a real dance. If BYC can do it, let the PTO, who's done it for years, continue to organize these activities for our junior high. It's not elementary school, but junior high. Let's allow the kids to be young adults and have the PTO to remain involved. Thank you. Okay. Still thinking of Lisa. It's fine. Okay. Next I have Carla Weissel.
Carla Weissel, Beecher, Illinois. There's a vote tonight on a referendum which has never even been brought to the Finance Committee. There has not been a Finance Committee meeting chaired by Paul Meyer and includes Belt and Herman since December 1st, 2021. Similarly, December 1st, 2021 was the only time that there was a formal referendum board discussion by Chairperson Pappas and includes Belt, and that meeting was only preliminary planning. The open house referendum meeting on February 28th, 2022 was never posted as a board meeting, but included 5 board members, which were Pappas, Herman, Pallmeyer, Belt, and Flores. Additionally, there's been no curriculum committee meeting chaired by Belt and includes Pappas and Flores since this new board took office on April 29th, 2021. These lack of committee meetings are completely unacceptable. How could the board vote for a referendum tonight that has never even been formally brought to the board before tonight? Regarding the lack of curriculum committee meetings, is the board not concerned about the poor test scores and regression of skills during the pandemic? On another matter, as background information, since this new board took office on April 29, 2021, some people were allowed to speak longer during public comments if their comments were apparently a preferred subject matter, and then the loud buzzer was turned off. Or if the person was the husband of the board president, he was allowed to speak for extended lengths of time during the same meeting on November 2nd, 2021 that President Pappas paused me for almost 10 minutes to look for a non-existent policy to determine if she could silence me. With some notable exceptions to the rule, like stated, mostly the public has been repeatedly silenced or, quote, or point of order. President Pappas has interrupted up to 3 times during one 3-minute public comment, and President Pappas or other board members have interrupted people 19 times during public comments since April 29, 2021. As a result, I find it extremely hypocritical when on February 14, 2022, after a controversial mask requirement vote by Pallmeyer, Herman, Flores, and Bell, that President Pappas had someone escorted out of the meeting because of an interruption who she herself interrupted twice both on May 10th, 2021 and August 16th, 2021. Rules for thee, but not for me. Thank you for your time.
All right, Solo Pena. Hold on one second while I get this set.
You want to get the timer running.
That's right.
So opinions of Fleming Beecher. Okay, I wrote this shortly after the last board meeting, but I'm gonna go ahead and read it, and I know there've been some changes, but I think there's some things in here that need to be said just in case this issue does come up again, which I'm sure it will. Okay, I'm writing this letter in regards to the masking order for mass transit, as mentioned by the attorney who attended the 2014-21 Board of Education meeting. Mr. Izzo referred to the order as a rule set forth by the CDC, and I would like to remind everyone that CDC is not a governing body and lacks the constitutional authority to do so. The CDC can only give guidelines and recommendations. As you may recall, CDC Director Dr. Walensky attempted to extend the moratorium on evictions. Even President Biden stated she did not have the constitutional authority to do so. If I recall, Mr. Izzo only refers to the order. I would imagine he is referring to 42 U.S. Code 264, which I've included. Okay, 42 U.S. Code 264, regulation to control communicable diseases. A, promulgation and enforcement by the Surgeon General. The Surgeon General, with the approval of the Secretary, is authorized to make and enforce such regulations as in his judgment are necessary to prevent introduction, transmission, or spread of communicable diseases from foreign countries into the states or possessions, or from one state or possession into any other state. Important word there, other state or possession. And it goes on about fumigation, destruction, and all that, which I'll skip over for the sake of time. And I've included a link for that as well. As you can read in the federal law, there is mention to prevent spread from foreign countries and from any other state. There is no mention of interstate travel. After all, federal law is federal law, as stated by Mr. Rizzo. Also, as stated in federal law, the Surgeon General, with the approval of the Secretary, is authorized to make and enforce such regulations, which I've included a link for the order to set by the CDC. Even though the CDC refers to 42 U.S. Code 264, it appears as though the CDC took the liberty of changing the wording from federal law to include within the United States, thus fitting their narrative. Again, the CDC lacks such constitutional authority to change or enforce any federal law. The authority comes from the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services. And looking at the page of the mask order, which was signed by Dr. Martin S. Citron, MD, Dr. Citron is the Director of Division of Global Mitigation and Quarantine Centers for the Disease Control and Prevention. In this order, there is mention of the HHS, yet there is no signature from then acting U.S. Secretary HHS, Norris Cochran, which had legally enacted this order. It appears there may have been some misinformation or misinterpretation in regards to masking order on public transit in regards to federal law. In doing so, I feel it may have played a contributing factor in the way some members may have voted. As stated by one member, I am not messing with the feds. As previously stated, federal law does not include interstate travel. I believe under federal law, the district would have no liability in this matter. In my opinion, this matter should be revoted within the guidelines set forth by federal law. It appears the CDC enacted this order for an emergency purpose to prevent spread of disease. As we all know.
Thank you very much. And Kim Pena.
Continuation. As we all know, the Sangamon Court ruled
Hold on
against...
one second.
Let her reset for Ms. Pena.
Let me make sure. Okay.
As we all know, the Sangamon Court ruled against Governor Pritzker's rule on masking. On 2/17/22, the Illinois 4th District Appellate Court dismissed Pritzker's appeal on his mask mandate. Giving these rules, I would think common sense would say there is no emergency. I understand Governor Pritzker gets his guidance from IDPH and CDC, but again, neither one of these agencies have the authority to make or enforce federal law. In light of the information provided, you can see, along with many other parents, there is no good reason to force anyone to wear a mask on any of the school buses. I am not saying those who choose to wear a mask can't or shouldn't wear them. This should be a choice. I know for some reason common sense will not be tolerated, but what sense does it make to have children wear a mask on the bus only or to take it off just to take it off at school? How close do the students get to the bus drivers in order to be considered close contact? The CDC defines close contact for COVID-19 as anyone who is less than 6 feet away from you in a combined total of 15 minutes or more for a 24-hour period. Does anyone seriously think any of our bus drivers are at an increased risk during loading and unloading of students, as stated by the CDC's close contact definition? This is the science. How many times do we hear we have to listen to the science? Well, here is the science. Again, I know common sense will not be tolerated. From watching the meeting via YouTube, it is my understanding district money, AKA taxpayer funded, pay $230 per hour to Mr. Izzo's attendance. The meeting was 2 hours long, which would bring the amount to $460 for Mr. Izzo to be there. I would like to know if there was additional charges for travel. However, regardless of what the total charge was, it was a waste of our money, and as a taxpayer, I am not satisfied with Mr. Izzo's representation. I would like to know if Mr. Izzo even bothered to look at the federal statute, or did he just depend on the CDC's interpretation of federal law? I also don't want any of our taxpayer money used to get the answer. If anything, I think there needs to be a rebate from Mr. Izzo. I heard some members voice their concerns about the financial responsibility it may put on the district's money if they voted for mask recommended. Well, you pretty much wasted our money on an attorney who, in my opinion, provided inaccurate information. I would not consider this money well spent. Furthermore, I am tired of listening to board members hide behind our children. Children are the least susceptible in regards to the effects of COVID, unless they have underlying conditions. Board members need to be more concerned with the negative mental effects these masks are causing our children. Our constitutional rights do not end where your fear begins.
Thank you very much. All right, that concludes public comment. Staff reports. Dr. Gahan.
Absolutely. You got my report. However, I'm going to address 4 or 5, I don't know, little extra things that are in there. First, when it comes to policy 2250, I told you we had 4 this past month. It's important to remember that whenever a FOIA is provided or requested, I have to have that document in order to satisfy it. So when I write in your board report I was unable to satisfy one, it's not because I didn't want to do it. It's, if Mr. Pena would have said, hey, Mr. Graham, I want the October 11th board meeting minutes next month. That's not a thing. He can't FOIA that because I don't have it yet. But on April 12th, he's more than welcome to say I want them, and I can provide them to him. So, so when you see that in your, I was unable to satisfy, that's normally the case. There's not documentation of it. I am planning a meeting for, I actually already have it set up, March 30th. I'm meeting with all 4 of those groups. So I have GRP, Bright Architecture, Consolidated Tile, if it's passed tonight, and Ideal. So those 4 companies will all be there on March 30th to kind of go through what the plan is for the summer. Along with that, I've had Mr. Snow continue to work with finding movers to see what we can do. I've been very honest with you. Obviously, we want to put that tile back in that area 1. Both are on your action items tonight. I am not recommending the second section, which is the 5th grade hallway at this time, simply because A, it's an additional cost, and B, that's another 7-8 rooms that we have to move, as opposed to being able to take stuff where we have to move it and store it in that location. It would save us money in storage, and it's going to save us money in manpower to get things to places where they need to be. So we're trying to figure out what that would cost. The one group that we had an informal conversation with told us it was $95,000. We think they may have put the decimal in the wrong spot. I refuse to spend $95,000. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's not going to happen. And then it may have been actually 2 months ago. Obviously, we have the IGA with the bus, not the bus. I'm sorry, the fuel committee. It's us, the township, the village. We did get we had to rebid it starting March 1st, and the gas has been locked in for the year at unleaded $3.47, diesel $3.67. So if you look at the gas pumps right now. Yep. So that's where we're at with that. And then lastly, the referendum information as it comes out, I'm updating the website. I actually just recently put on financial terms under the website, so to people who showed up on the 28th, everything I talked about, all I did is, instead of recording like this where you may not be able to see me and hear me very well, all I did is I actually screenshot my device, and I talk behind it to give people the information they need to get. Currently working on round 2, and as soon as we know, we'll make sure that it gets out to the community as well. And so we'll try to push it out a little bit further. I did invite the village, and I don't think they put it on their stuff, so that was
Okay.
miscommunication, but it's one of many. So I promise you, we're not hiding anything. It's just, it's on the website. You're more than welcome to go and watch it and hear my wonderful voiceover. So that's everything for me. Any questions?
I have a question on
Yes,
the
sir.
report that came out. I asked Marla today, I asked for the personnel, executive minutes. Reduction in force. It's a teacher. I want to ask this question. I have teachers here.
I've been right, yeah.
I understand you've been repped. But we were just going to hire, at a last board meeting, we were going to hire 2 teachers because we can't find the educational staff or the subs. But we're riffing a teacher, guys. I
There's an
understand.
executive session topic that needs to be discussed prior to me being able to answer that question. There's an executive, it's personnel, and therefore I can't talk in open session
No,
about.
we're not talking about the person. We're talking about the position.
However, before I can tell you about the position, I need to tell you about the situation, so therefore I can't answer that question in open session, sir. I'm more than willing to go to executive session right now and get it clarified and,
Yeah, we're going to go there before we get there.
yeah, yep, that's why I have it at the end.
Okay.
Anything else?
No?
All right.
Thank you. Ms. Black?
Good evening. A couple of things I wanted to highlight in my board report. Officer Hanson, starting next week, is going to be in classrooms next week and the week after, doing first round of lessons. And then he and I will meet and kind of reflect on how things went. It'll be the first time in the classroom, so I'll get feedback from the teachers and things before we plan the next round. We also, through not only Officer Hanson, but through our PBIS program, we're gonna start Cookies with a Cop program. So we used to have some different ways where we recognize, I don't wanna say student behavior, but I guess it's kind of like student behavior. One of the things that we're working on with PBIS is about being respectful, being responsible, being safe. So I've asked the teachers each month to pick someone who exemplifies those character traits. And then they'll get a certificate, and Officer Hanson will be meeting with them, and they'll be having cookies, hence the name. And just to recognize the students who are always doing those things that they should be doing all the time, being respectful, being responsible, being safe. So we're definitely looking forward to starting that, starting up some student recognition programs again in a smaller setting like that. And we will, also with PBIS, our students have earned another school-wide celebration, so we're gonna have a neon party. Thankfully for us, BOIC has also been doing some neon things. Share some of the
Nice.
decorations and black lights and things like that, so it makes it a little bit more cost-effective for us to do that. So also, it happens to be so timed that it will be the end of our testing week as well. So on our last day of testing in the afternoon, students will have their earned PBIS school-wide celebration. Any other
I
questions?
like it. I really love the initiatives. I like what's going on with Officer Hanson. It's good.
You do too.
Yes.
We're doing our best. All right, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, Dr. Kwasny.
Just a few things I wanted to highlight on this month's board report. For one, for Women's History Month, the students were learning about influential women, similar to what we did for Black History Month. Some of the women we highlighted were Amelia Earhart, Selena, Elizabeth Stanton, Serena Williams, etc. So they not only learned about them in morning announcements, but then they also did projects within their social studies classrooms. So that was very nice. The girls finally got their state rings for softball, their championship rings, and so they were very, very, very excited to get those on Friday. So we took some pictures and celebrated the girls again on Friday when we finally got those rings in, and both coaches were there, so that was very nice. Also, the volleyball team won, and they beat Limestone on Thursday at sectionals. And because Region 1 didn't have a regional, they took home both the sectional and regional championship. So they're headed to state at Hannah. It's going to be on this Friday at 5:45. And then if they win, they continue on to the game on Saturday. There will be 2 games on Saturday, whether they win or lose. And we're going to have a fan bus going. We'll have a pep rally on Friday. So another great accomplishment by the very talented athletes of the school. Also wanted to share a couple other things. We are going to have a dance. The kids are very excited. Some of them know, some of them don't know, but don't know the details of it yet. So that's something that's coming up as well. We have a talent show too. So that talent show is going to be right before spring break. And that's something we're looking forward to. And we're going to take the kids off campus for quarter 3. We're going to go to Hollywood Park for our 3rd quarter rewards. So that's something else that's fun. And then academically, I know I've shared a lot of the fun things. We are taking our IAR test, here coming up the week of the 28th, and then the science test will be coming up as well. So those are a couple of updates. Did anyone have any questions?
So for this dance, is it not partnered with PTO anymore?
Well, it is, but we were hoping to have, one earlier, and then we kind of waited, and so we are partnering with the PTO on it. They're going to have a couple chaperones. Since it's going to be after school, we do have a lot of staff members, so we told them we don't need as many chaperones. And I know it's kind of hard, everybody wants to be really involved at the elementary level, and then some parents still do at the junior high level.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of drop off too.
Yes.
So they said they could get like a handful, and we said that, if we have a few, that would be helpful, and then they can help out with the food and supervision and things, and then a lot of the staff members will be there too.
And then how does it coordinate like with the practices for track and soccer that
They
day?
actually, neither of those teams have practice on that day.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there won't be any extracurriculars
Okay.
that are interfering. Yeah, we want to make sure everybody can participate.
Okay, and then do you still have a DJ and stuff like
Yeah,
the
there-
typical setup? Okay.
Yep, there's going to be a DJ. There will be like food and snacks and things for the kids too.
Okay, all right, cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All
Dr.
right.
Quasi, what's the cost for students to attend said dance?
$0. It'll be free. We have money activity fund, and then the PTO said that they were good financially too, so it'll be at no cost, and everything for even foods and everything is going to be a donation as well, so
Nice,
no cost.
Thank you.
and it used to be a cost.
Yes.
I mean, $2,
Just
yes.
$2.
Yeah.
Split it
Which
up.
helped, I mean, yes, I was PTO too, yeah. Mr. Meyer?
Hello, hello. Couple things I just want to talk about, Honor Society induction. We had, the other night, we have 24 graduating seniors that will be leaving. We have 16 new inductees and 16 continuing inductees. So that was nice to get that back, because I don't think they had one last year, Ms. Cal told me. So that was good. Also want to recognize some KACC students that were also inducted into their National Technical Honor Society. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those, excuse me, 3.57 GPA for 3 semesters, 4-point GPA in employability for 3 semesters, and then recommendation from a KACC instructor. So we had quite a few there. And then lastly, I had 2 KAC students are going to compete in the Skills USA State of Illinois competition, April 28th through the 30th in Peoria. Ray Shepard, Auto Tech, and Justin Ela, Auto Tech.
Nice.
So just some academic things that our kids are doing pretty well in certain areas, so.
That sounds good.
Officer Hanson came in today to give us some presentations on Illinois Vehicle Code and traffic stops. And so I had a teacher email me saying that he did a really good job of, because I think that was one of the things we talked about when we first came in, just with some of society's issues, how when you get stopped, what should you do and what shouldn't you do? I think that's a good place to start, and I thought you did a really nice, said you did a really nice job today, so
Yeah.
I'm very pleased with that.
Deliberate lessons, I like it, yes, absolutely. Yep, okay. Any questions for Mr. Meyer?
How's your Hawkeyes doing?
Hey, about the only time I can wear it, I'm pleased. I just, that lucky shot that beat Jack's team, that's all I gotta say.
Easy.
So it was ridiculous. No, it's good. It's nice to see every once in a while, so.
Nice.
They
Wanna
beat
wear it
the
every once
tournament,
in a
right?
while.
Actually, no, I have them in Elite Eight, so I need them to win.
Sorry about the booze. Yeah, it'd be nice, but
Hey, your
Gravy now,
contract's
gravy.
up for renewal next month. Okay.
Uh-huh.
We didn't get any other interest for the trainer?
No,
Not from anyone?
no,
So our best
no.
bet is Dr. Hunger.
It sounds like it.
And I've seen him at games,
You
he's
know, he
he's
wants-
doing
he wants to,
wonderful,
and he
yeah.
loves it. I mean, that's what he
He's so
says, but
appreciated.
Everybody else, we can't get it, or it can't get one,
Yeah.
or it's like, 80 grand. And I'm
Yeah.
making that number up, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah, but
it's
it's-
ridiculous.
I think
Yeah,
that's
it's
what
ridiculous
I think.
amount.
So, but
So
no,
thankful that Mr.
Yeah.
Malika is doing
Talk to
that,
him, yeah.
absolutely. Yes. Okay, thank you very
thank
much.
you.
All right, so, for board committee reports, Jack covered what we had been talking about in facilities. Was there anything else, Larry, that we had talked about during the facilities meeting? We talked about the tile, the moving.
Are you all right with the trees?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
we're,
if we would like to, yes.
what I think.
The trees,
again,
Mr.
this is
Meyer,
my opinion.
The trees.
the trees.
So when I walk the grounds, like an old wise man would,
Uh-huh,
my white beard. So Mike expressed concern, and I agree that, the trees over there, sooner or later, this is the only place our PE really has outside to do stuff with. And it's already starting to fill up, and we don't want to turn people away, but we also kind of wanted basic parameters. So what I suggest, you guys can tell me to kickstand, but what I suggest is, and what we did with, I should know his name, Nico? Nico, who's the young man that just passed a few years ago, his last treatment?
Yeah, I don't.
Parents own Nero's.
Yes.
It is Nico, okay.
no, Manny.
Manny,
Yes,
thank you, Manny,
yes,
thank you,
yes,
Manny.
Manny.
So what we do with Manny is, because Manny obviously wasn't a student of ours when he passed sadly,
Yes,
anyone who, when a tragedy happens, would like to donate a tree in remembrance of a child or remembrance of a family member and have it displayed at the school, on the school, what we actually would like to do is take those and put them at the junior high, along the field. That way, there's nothing that's going to alter those trees or get in the way, and they'll always be there. And be it, and it sounds crass and it's not meant to be, as a school, it then allows us to start building a barrier, similar to this, between the road and the school.
Yeah.
Between Faith Church and our property, just kind of, that way they can always go out there, there's no
Absolutely.
fences, they can go remember them.
well, and then we'd never have to knock down someone's tree.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct, so that is a nice permanent place. So if families want to start looking at that as an outlet for their child or for their family member, we'll gladly take that donation and put it out there. Obviously, if a child dies under our, please never let this happen, but under our building, under our roofs, we will obviously be the ones who buy that tree and do that service. But
yes,
if it's not a student, we'll gladly take that donation and make sure they're remembered.
okay.
So
Great.
unless anybody comes up and says, that's terrible. I know we've talked about a wall. The problem with walls is sooner or later that, they're not permanent, and some people might be quasi-offended if I'm not at the top of the wall or I'm at the bottom of the wall.
Well, I did do some research. I said I would look into it after the last facility meeting. And, I found myself going down the rabbit hole of entire memorial policy, but obviously we don't want to make that too difficult. That's, like I said, going down into a rabbit hole. But I don't know if we should be thinking, and not to be crass or not be sensitive to our community, but like, if there should be an even further parameter, because they don't want our schools to turn into the place in town for a memorial. Schools should be, a place for school, not necessarily turn into, a grounds for, memorials. So should we be setting additional parameters, like if it's alumni or, someone who had gone to the school instead of, just saying like me, I've lived in Beecher just, 10 years, which is not very, or 14 years, which is not very long in comparison to some long-standing members who have had family here for years and years, is the school the most appropriate place for a memorial, say for myself, that has only been a community member for a short time? So I guess that was one of my concerns, is that do we want to set something to say a little bit more of a parameter than, anybody who calls up can.
And I understand that thought, However, I mean, just for you, for example, who hasn't been here as long, BYC, PTO,
Right, well, I understand.
board member, you know, like,
Right.
then it kind of
I
becomes
just
like
wanted to
how, but you know what I mean, like, then, and I never
But if I
wanna
was on
turn
the
down a tree.
BYC, you know, I had served on the BYC considerably longer than obviously I've been on the board. You know, so would somewhere else in the village be a more appropriate place? You know, since I served on the village longer than I've been on the Board of Education. So I guess that was, I just didn't want to, because I've done some research on it and, you know, again, I just have concerns about our school being turned into like
A forest.
place to
Well, and how many
And
places,
hopefully we
how
don't
many
have too
are
many
you gonna be
that-
allowed to have? So it's like the first 20 ever and then that's it, and then you turn around, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it just,
How many do we
I can see
have
so many issues
on
with
our
this.
property, do you know?
On our total property, I
Yeah.
believe there's,
Well, we have the Linda Gecke garden.
I think there's 7 out here, does that sound about right, Mike? 6 or 7 out here.
Sure.
There's one that's by the student parking lot, and I believe 1 or 2 of the ones out front, they have a placard, but I'm not sure if they're still considering
Oh.
metal
Baseball
trees.
field, there are a couple trees too. but-
Yeah, I can walk around and get you
And
a
the Linda
phone number.
Gecke garden.
In the Linda Gecke garden.
I think we could find places for trees. I mean, in the last
Watch the
7 years.
Lorax.
What's that?
The Lorax.
You know, the last 7 years,
Plant the trees.
I could think that we've had a couple trees.
Yeah.
I mean, you look like at the Ribbon of Hope, that's a great thing over there. The bricks, they're not all sold out either. You know, so I don't think it's in my opinion, I don't think it's an issue. We can find places.
It's not a concern at the
We can
moment.
always put the trees right behind the outfield of the baseball field.
You sure can.
I thought
Yes,
that
you
as well.
can.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a line
we
there.
can comfortably hold 50 to 70 trees
Right.
and not even blink an eye, especially at the junior high, if you start lining our
Yeah,
property.
yeah.
I think we can comfortably put it there. And then maybe
People aren't beating
But
down
in
also-
20 years,
right now.
when I'm dead,
Look at
you
it
guys have a new
again.
superintendent.
So, yeah, let's remind you how young you are.
Ain't you like 32?
But there,
No,
is
I
there
know.
consideration for the type of tree? Because I mean, whirly birds are a
So,
thing.
yeah, Mike and I have talked about that. Those trees are all of similar, brand's not the word I'm looking for, species?
Yes.
There.
So, yeah, so if they were to contact Dr. Kwasny or Ms. Black or Mr. Meyer, he would say, hey, perfectly fine, this is the tree that we would like, that matches everything else. That way, you know, as Mike has pointed out, I don't want a big old California redwood planted
Right.
somewhere.
We use a fruit tree, because we can get some snacks.
I wouldn't mind some apple trees.
The weeping willow? Yeah. Oh, but that would work.
So,
Okay, sorry.
I think that would be acceptable. We have a standard, you know,
Yeah, and Mike, I think, is aware of what.
yeah,
those-
Mr. Snillick can fill us in what kind it is.
Awesome. Okay.
And not only, you know, the type of tree, but like if we're, you know, like Mr. Stinula mentioned that, you know, he does, you know, fill in mulch,
Yeah.
like the type of
Yeah.
mulch that would be used if there's a, you know, any type of border or anything that is just so it stays consistent. And then I guess my other concern was, you know, if we had to allow any decorative type of plaque to say that it's a memorial.
Right now, the families,
The family.
the
Okay.
families have donated,
All right.
have put a little, I think either a brick or a little placard there.
So I guess the only suggestion is to maybe kind of take whatever's already there and make that kind of like a standard.
The standard.
So
Like a
it's not
certain
like
size.
they get
Yeah.
a little one and then
Yeah.
somebody all of a sudden wants to
Well, when I die.
put a big something
When
up
I
there.
die.
and then it's-
Billboard.
Yeah.
Your lies.
It's gonna be around the tree, yes.
It's gonna be a
Life-size
big,
cutout.
it's gonna be a big hug.
And then
I will be the tree, don't be in the roots.
And then I guess my last concern is what happens if that live memorial becomes unsustainable? You know, like I have neighbors that planted trees that they're supposed to plant in their, you know, in their yard when we build, you know, when we build houses, and they've replaced it like 4 or 5 different times. So I guess.
Oh, if it dies.
Yes, if it's not sustainable, if it gets a disease or something like that, how it's, you know.
Managed tree was replaced by the purchaser because they bought a bad
Okay.
tree.
So I
And
guess-
again, that's,
It's on them.
It's
Yeah.
on them, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess just as long as that's all known up front, that they are responsible, not necessarily for maintenance, but if that tree needs to be replaced or something, or we need to remove it, you know, that they'd have the option to put another one somewhere else, you know, or if we have to remove them permanently for some reason we're expanding something like that, then they have the opportunity to come and pick up like a plaque or have another type of memorial, you know, and then also to make sure that the responsibility kind of falls on them to keep us updated with family contact information, just if like, you know, so in case 5, 10, 20 years from now, we need to remove the trees, that there's, you know, it's the family's responsibility to contact the school, not, you know, the school doesn't have to, you know, find, you know, family members of those memorials. I guess that was my notes.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm fine with Mike taking charge of all that.
Mike's new look, right?
Yeah, keep it open.
Thank you for all that thorough research.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, okay. Then Personnel Committee,
Just that we reached a federal requirement for a Spanish language
yes, we did,
teacher, so
yep,
that was approved.
and they do need to speak the language.
Well, it's ELL, doesn't have to be
EL.
Spanish.
Well, true,
Yeah.
actually, I'm
English
sorry.
language.
I'm thinking about my own,
No.
we have to have a Spanish liaison, but, okay, yes.
So, the process of collecting applications, we're hoping April, May. So we're gonna make sure we get the right person.
Awesome. All right, our wonderful board representative for KACC, Ashley
By
Bell.
myself this time.
Thank you so much.
I gave you notice.
They said you went in the morning too. I was like, so you have to have meetings the morning of, and then you have to go at night too?
This one was in particular because there was some personnel concerns that we had to address, and you can't address it at CARBs.
Okay.
So,
They have, unfortunately, where the 8th graders go to KACC is during spring break,
No.
our spring break. But I think we worked out a plan to where we can provide a bus, and I'm going to volunteer to chaperone if anybody wants their kid to go, whatever the time slot is during spring break. So that way any 8th graders can still go and get the experience.
That's awesome.
We don't know a time or anything yet, we don't know our slot, so we'll have
Thanks
to
for
figure
doing
that out.
that.
yep, Lucas and Tim are getting back to me on our time slot. Talked to Scott this morning, he says, because Brenda's already driving, our high schoolers have to go KCC
Oh,
that week.
okay.
So we'll have somebody take them out
That's
there
awesome,
and.
yeah.
as-
So parents will be responsible
It's
for
such
dropping
a
them
good
off
opportunity.
at school
Yeah.
and picking them up at school. And it is during spring break, so I know that's a big inconvenience, but if not, they wouldn't even have the opportunity.
Absolutely.
So I mean, if you're on vacation, sorry, you can't go, but at least if you're not, or you do want your child
Right.
to go, we have the opportunity, we're
Right.
still giving them. They're also doing a lot more with internships and building where the kids get lots of scholarships through there. So right now with Riverside, their big thing was, they're taking like 16 CNAs from the program and giving them a summer internship. And then if they see some potential and they wanna invest in that child, they're actually giving them a scholarship to go to college and to finish their nursing program.
Wow.
With a stipulation where you'll have like, 2 years you have to work
Yeah.
for them or something like that. But a lot of the different programs are getting more into that. They're
Wow.
finding people that want to find students and children that wanna do that job and they wanna invest in them and help them along the way. So not only for ACC, they also get college credit that they can apply, just like,
Right.
which a lot of parents I think don't know about. Like
Yeah.
I talked to some in the high school and they're like, well, I want my kid to have college credit. I'm like, you can get that through the
Yep.
career
Same
program
thing.
too.
Yep. Well, that's
And they're also starting to
similar.
just
Yeah.
do big on the scholarships. They said they've always had a couple, but they're really getting a lot more.
That's awesome.
And the Riverside is committed to a 5-year, I think $100,000 a year commitment.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, that was really nice what they're doing, and they're also revamping, they partnered with Paul Mitchell for the cosmetology program. I know they were having issues with that. They're completely revamping that program and working with them too, where you get credit and it gets applied to finish your cosmetology degree after. They're kind of fixing, the mishaps that have been happening with that lately.
That's,
So, they're doing lots of good things.
yeah.
That was it.
Significant opportunities for KCC
Yeah.
kids.
There you go. Well, again, thank you for being the board rep. We appreciate that. Okay, so for referendum resolution, thank you for not having.
Correct.
any discussion on referendum resolution before,
Move it to after we go into executive, come back to it.
if you'd like to?
I would.
Although it has to fit into the executive session.
No, I don't have nothing to talk about.
Reasoning.
I just don't want to talk about the one thing and then come back to that item on the agenda. We're not talking about that agenda item.
Wait, so executive session's at the end, you're saying that you
No,
don't?
executive session is number 13, before we get down to the 14.
You want to vote after executive session on
The
11.
referendum.
Yeah.
So that's changing the order of the agenda.
And can we talk about referendum?
We can-
in
no, we
executive session?
cannot
That has to be
executive
open
session.
meeting.
I don't
Yeah.
want to talk about the referendum, I'm just want to talk about the RIF.
And we will, but we just have to keep that in executive after that, because we still have to go through the other employment new business. So I gotta keep the discussion on the
Right, but
referendum
see, what-
resolution now?
What I'm getting is, I mean, nobody wants to seem to talk about it. I mean, you're not talking about the employee, you're talking about the position.
I'm talking about the appointment of the employee in the position, which is the second word of the executive session, sir.
And we're
I
getting
cannot
a
discuss-
little too specific.
I assure you, after the executive session, I will come out in open session and discuss what I can, but I don't want to tell you what I can now, and then I go to executive session and you all are blindsided by something. I don't want to do that to you guys. You're more than welcome to go to executive session anytime, Madam President. And just as you understand, we cannot talk about the referendum resolution, it is not part of executive session.
Right,
Or any, I mean,
exactly.
If you want to just stay with your agenda, we'll go.
And then we'll, okay, all right. So, any discussion or questions on the referendum resolution that was presented?
Gibberish.
just so you know, I worked with Mr. Rizzo, I'll be
And thank
very
you
honest,
for
he
that,
put a
too.
lot, he and I put a lot of time into that, making sure. The goal was to have that in April, and the problem ran into with item number 12, letter C, if you guys choose to change your April board meeting, that actually we lose that opportunity. So instead of,
Just leave it.
yeah, correct. But I've been very open with you guys when it comes to where we're at, what we need. I know some of you guys managed to make it to the open house. I appreciate it. I understand it was a busy night. But anytime along the way, you guys have put me in charge of the finances of this district per policy. And after discussion with Mr. Rizzo, that's the number that's going to keep us both sustainable and we believe is fair by giving still a nice little tax cut to the overall rate. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Gladly discuss it at any point in time.
And the open house was so informative. And I know that it was the first one, and then even more advertising. Like the first one I feel too is just
Yep.
but a lot. And I appreciate the follow-up video and everything, but it was a wonderful presentation. So I appreciate that.
And is there something we have the next one? I mean, can we send home flyers to parents or put an ad?
Phone
That was a big
blasts.
thing, is just having.
And my
It was in
concern
the-
too
it was
is
in an email.
general public, how can we invite?
Well, that's why
That village
and again,
board
I'm
thing.
not gonna blame
Yeah.
Marcy or, I'm sorry,
Sure.
the mayor. I sent that out and
Yeah.
I should have been more explicit saying, hey,
Yeah.
please advertise to the community, so I'll take ownership of that.
Yeah.
But
I think
I
that'll
assure you,
help,
that's
too.
one thing I've heard about is not enough people knew about it. I was not trying to hide it.
No.
I posted it where I could think about posting it,
Right,
so
right.
I will do a better job of that,
Yes.
I promise you.
And anybody can go to these meetings, including us board members.
100%, you guys
Which
are
would not,
As-
We're not as board.
which would
As
not
community
be,
members.
as community members,
Yes.
not a quorum.
Yep.
You are not discussing it, it is not your meeting, and you are making zero decisions. You are public members, you're allowed to be in public together.
Thank you
As
for
again,
clarifying
let me
that.
Go back to that, as we were talking about getting the information out. As the committee, and there's some great people on there, and I think I said that in an email to you, great people on there. But I believe, as before, Mr. Harmon and them do a great thing with Frosty Friends, we broadcast it. It should have went out in a robocall, that's just my opinion, because it was for the committee, for the community, but there was good people, and I'm not, no.
And I've openly admitted I made an error in how I publicized it, and I'm owning that, and I told you I will do better next time, sir.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the resolution as presented to be added to the June 2022 ballot.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Herman,
Yes.
Pappas?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
And Hernandez.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. So for new business, I have, I need a motion to accept the resignation of Jesse Nagel as varsity junior high basketball coach.
So moved.
Second.
Pappas?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
And Herman.
Yes.
I need a motion, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't finish. Motion carried. I'm still here. Motion to accept the resignation of David Smolson as high school girls track and field coach.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Palmer?
Yes.
Flores?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Pappas.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion to approve the employment of Stephanie Duran Martinez as part-time custodian.
So moved.
Second.
Flores?
Yes.
Belt?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Pappas.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And I need a motion to approve the employment of Ann Granisey as high school track and field coach.
So moved.
Second.
Belt?
Yes.
Mazur?
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Pappas.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Flores.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, and I have a question about the soccer volunteer coach. Is Ms. Compton not coaching?
No, volunteer.
He's just helping.
just helping, yeah. He's helping out
Okay,
her
cool.
development.
Well, I appreciate that. Motion to accept Jonathan Kaporis as volunteer high school girls soccer coach.
So moved.
Second.
Mazur?
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Pappas.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Flores.
Yes.
Belt.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. So this is the abated area. This is not the, okay, 5th grade.
Yep.
All right.
So remember in the
Yep, so
facilities.
first part.
Yep, facilities, we had two different
Yep.
addendums to it. We had the original abatement area,
Yes.
which is addendum 1, so
Right.
I just called it the abatement area, so
Yep.
we make it clear. And then there's a second bid that came, and I'm sorry, a second part to the bid.
Right.
Which was the 5th grade one.
I get you.
So I'll make sure you.
All right, so for the first portion, motion to approve the floor tile bid for the elementary school from Commercial Flooring Systems Incorporated of Woodridge, Illinois, for a base bid of $110,820 plus change order number 1 in the amount of $4,760 for a total cost of $115,580.
So moved.
Second.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Pappas.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Flores.
Yes.
Belt.
Yes.
Mazur.
Yes.
Motion carried.
So discussion on 5th grade wing.
As long as it's, I've seen, we all know, as long as it's not any issue to our kids or anything, and if we can hold it off, I'm for that. But I don't know.
Especially after that moving whole idea and separating and taking off and everything, I mean, all of the furniture and stuff that would be moved could be stored there.
Yep,
correct?
in the hallways and stuff. And as I noted too, and I think may have been in my board packet, we can get that $50,000 maintenance grant. I can apply it to that next year. So even if the cost goes from 40 to 44,
Yes.
our out of pocket goes from 40 to 22. So
And less work. I mean, there's a lot of work going on this summer, and if
I know,
they
and I
do
don't
an
wanna
entire week,
overload
we got a better chance of
them
getting
all.
it done.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
There's a
absolutely.
lot happening there.
Yeah,
To be
and
able to
while
try to get done and get waxed and get prepped
Yes.
for kids.
And while I do see the necessity, I also see the necessity for being effective and efficient and keeping our wonderful employees sane. So, okay. As long as there's no motion, we can move on from that. Okay. And then also for the change, was everybody okay with keeping the April meeting date at the 14th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
11.
11th,
The
thank
11th.
you. Yeah.
April 11th.
I'll be here the
Monday.
14th. Here.
You'll be here both days.
Yes, yeah, be fine. 11th then. Good? Okay.
Miss Black, could you let Miss O'Neill know that they're keeping it on the 11th? Miss O'Neill,
that again?
PTO, could you please, thank you.
But
Sorry.
now, let me ask this though, before we move on. So does that mean that you guys don't get off for spring break that day?
I don't get off for spring break, I work spring break.
You don't take any break
Unless
then?
I
No.
take vacation. My
Kids
kids have
take vacation, they're
Yes,
year-round
his
employees.
vacation,
Yeah.
he's a yearly employee.
Right, so then,
Are you all right if my principals aren't here that night?
I mean, I personally am fine if they are not.
Principals, you do not have to be here April 11th. You can enjoy your spring break evening.
Except Mike Meyer.
Make sure that's in the minutes, please.
Right?
But no, they do get a spring break. They're off that
Yes.
week.
Okay.
So as
You're
long
fine.
as you understand they're off that week. I'm not, so I will obviously be
And
here.
Marla's not either?
I can run the meeting if Marla would like to have the night off.
True, I hear that, okay, all right, great.
That was the Ron Mazur coming
Just
out of
making
me,
sure.
So.
I'm There you go.
I'm just upset because they beat. Never mind.
All
Varsity
right,
baseball won, so we're good.
there you go. I need a motion to proceed to executive session for a personnel reason, clearly.
Second.
Okay, Paulmeyer,
Yes.
Flores.
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Masersky.
Yes.
Hernandez. Herman.
Yes.
Capps.
Yes.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, they're going, okay.
I don't need you for anything, unless you,
Huh?
unless you
No.
do for some.
No problem.
I've already discussed what I want to discuss with you guys with that.
Red light's on.
You
I was sent,
Oh, do I?
I was sent
I hit the red button, so you guys know. Janet, Julie,
Saying about-
red button has been pushed,
Oh,
so you know.
here we are.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we are back to regular session. So new business on employment.
So, by law, you have to make sure that when there's a reduction of force or there's a position that possibly could be eliminated, that the board approves it. However, my recommendation would to not reduce force at this time, but instead open up an available position at the third grade. Right now, the third grade's at 78 students. And if you remember, 2 or 3 years ago, you guys had a magic number of 80. So if we even have 2 students move in over the summer, that would create a need at the third grade for an additional position, which means we would not have to RIF this young lady who is a very, very, very good teacher, and we can actually realign some of our classes, keep our staff moving forward. It's only an action item today simply because if you don't want me to move in that direction, we would then have to instead do a RIF. So if you guys want me to move that direction and open up a third grade position, knowing the numbers are probably going to be in the low 80s, there's nothing to do, and we'll let this young lady know that she'll have a new assignment next year, or an assignment next year.
I do. I feel like we should keep her.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah, you don't wanna get rid of a good teacher
Right.
to advertise and get whatever's.
Well, we had a hard
You
time.
can scramble for it in
Yeah.
August.
Well, and a lot of times over the summer, a lot of people,
Yeah.
families move in
Yeah.
before school starts.
Retain those quality educators, Dr. Gaham.
All right, so I will give Ms. Black direction tomorrow that she needs to talk to this young lady, let her know that she will be needed next year in our employment, and then we'll start that process,
Wonderful.
fill in that position.
Okay, so no motion needed there.
It's been work work, 'cause it's gonna be after work.
Anything in other? Okay, items for April 11th, 2022 board meeting.
You sure it's 11?
I'm pretty positive. Any upcoming dates we
The
need to know?
Monday of spring break.
Oh, yes, we're gonna have an amended budget for you. If you looked at the additional bills, there's a $1.7 million GRP payment, so I wanna make sure that was on there.
Yep.
So, we'll give you an amended,
Okay.
so I think that actually has to be probably 6:30. Do a 6:30
On
budget hearing,
the 11th, budget hearing.
do one before, and then
It
the,
needs to be on display for 30 days so that we
Okay,
keep that going.
all right, sounds good. All right, just need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Anybody want to go to Monday night's chamber? I got an email today, next Monday. Just let me know
It's like
if
6
you
o'clock.
want to.
Okay.
Because I need to make reservations, okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
You motion?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I made a motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
right, Chicky, we have papers to sign.
Yeah. Got my card out.